Welcome to this episode of Red Lodge the Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Reimer. In this episode, the conclusion of a two-part series, we continue our conversation with Chase Cardoza, the executive chef at the One Legged Magpie in Red Lodge, Montana. Chef Cardoza tells of his experience representing the state of Montana on the show and behind the scenes of season 24 of Chef Gordon Ramsay's television show, Hell's Kitchen, Battle of the States. Sharing details of what things were like behind the scenes, as well as what prompted his decision to leave the show, Chase continues to share his unique story. A story that triumphantly ends with a return to his hometown working as the executive chef at the One Legged Magpie in magical Red Lodge, Montana. You're listening to Red Lodge the Podcast. All right, welcome to Red Lodge the Podcast. This is the second part of a two-part series we have here with our guest, Chase Cardoza, who is currently the executive chef at the One Legged Magpie here in downtown Red Lodge. Chef Cardoza, Thanks for coming back.
No, thanks for having me back. I'm so happy to be here.
To the listener, if you missed the first part of this podcast, the first episode with Chase last week, you need to tune in and check it out. Basically, well, we knew you were on Hell's Kitchen, but you have an unbelievable story that goes well beyond Hell's Kitchen. But last week in our episode, you brought us up through growing up in Red Lodge to becoming a chef. You went all over the country, and you kind of ended us on a little bit of a teaser with the Hell's Kitchen executive producers tell you you're going to be on the show representing the state of Montana in season 24, Battle of the States.
Yeah.
Of which you have been on and is now currently being shown across the country.
Yes, it is. And it's been a fantastic, awesome, amazing opportunity and wonderful with what's come out of it and what happened. I mean, you've made obviously another whole set of new connections and friendships there. We'll talk about. Yeah.
But we're gonna pick up today, Chase, in this episode where they communicated to you that you're gonna be on season 24 of Hell's Kitchen, Battle of the State. You're living in Salt Lake City at the time, but you're gonna represent Montana. But real quickly, you had mentioned right at the end of the last episode how much they spent months doing basically vetting you, background checks, drug tests, checking into car accidents you were in. Like seems pretty invasive. Like what was that like? Why were they doing so much? What was the gist there?
So the reason why they do so much is they want to make certain we're not liabilities. You know, they don't know who any of us are. They don't know what we've done, what our pasts are. They're seeing photos that we send them. They're talking to us in interviews. They're seeing our resumes, but they're not actually getting to get a full scope of who we are. So if they do some serious investigation, the last thing they want is for someone to come on the show and be addicted to methamphetamine, and now they have to deal with that in a closed set where no one's allowed to leave, or they don't want someone to come in who might be a sex offender. So
it makes sense.
They look into all the aspects, but it's super invasive. I distinctly remember sitting down with a private investigator, and she tells me, I need you to outline what you know. And I was like, here's everything that's happened in my life. Here's where I've gotten in trouble. Here's where I've made some mistakes. Here's what's going on. And then she's like, yeah, tell me about this. I'm like, I have no idea what that is.
I forgot to put that on the list. Sorry. Here it is.
So the craziest one, I'll go into more detail about it. My brother Drew and I, we both went to Montana State. We're coming home one Christmas, and the weather is terrible. And for those of you in the area, for those of you in Montana listening, if you've driven I-90 around December, it's so easy to be experiencing whiteout blizzard conditions.
For sure.
And that's what my brother and I were driving home in. And it was daylight, luckily, but that didn't help. And we end up getting to a point where we get completely whited out by a semi. My brother lets off the gas. People are slid off the road, have stopped. So we were able to stop, and we were like, oh, we're great, we're awesome. And then boom, we get rear-ended by somebody.
Yeah, well, our worst nightmare is driving in winter in Montana.
Exactly. But my brother and I end up being fine, but the car gets totaled out, trying to get insurance paid, trying to get medical bills covered, trying to get all this stuff done. And my dad, being the amazing father he is, he just starts handling it for my brother and I. So I have no idea what's going on with litigation, what's happening here, and like what went on. And this lady brings this up and is like, yeah, tell me about this court case that went on with this insurance company. What's happening? I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
They've delved into the details of your life.
They found stuff that even I didn't know about. They're like, oh, tell me about when you got a parking ticket when you were 15. What happened there?
I don't think I'd have made the cut, Chase. I hate admitting this, but I got so many speeding tickets between the ages of 17 and, well, my wife would tell you I'm still getting speeding tickets, but they're few and far between. So you make the cut.
Yeah.
You're on Hell's Kitchen.
So I make the cut. I get the call.
And when was it? Can you tell us when that was?
So that was roughly.
I think the listener will be a little surprised because that was.
Yes, that was in June of 2004, 2003, 2004, somewhere that I'm trying to remember.
2023.
Yeah, 2023, 2024.
Okay.
My apologies. So we filmed in I want to say June of 2023 or 2024. I can't remember exactly which year.
So you filmed this current season of Hell's Kitchen a little further back than people would think.
Almost 2 years ago we filmed.
Okay. So if that's really interesting in itself. So this was, when do you remember when it was and you officially got the call? Was it like summer, spring?
So I officially got the call early, like middle of July is when I got the official call. And it was wild because here I am working at the Alta Club in downtown Salt Lake. I'm their executive chef at this private club. And I've been dealing with all these things in my life and what's going on. And I get this phone call of you're about to get a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Right.
And that's when I finally told my bosses and people, I'm like, hey, I'm leaving for a while. The original plan was I'm taking 3 weeks off.
And does Hell's Kitchen tell you how much time you need to set aside?
Yeah,
obviously. Okay.
They do. So they tell you filming is going to be from these dates to these dates. Plan on being gone for that entire time.
So when was the scheduled date? And when did you arrive in Connecticut for season 24 Hell's Kitchen?
So I want to say the official date was like June 3rd, June 4th. I can't remember. I can't remember the exact official date. I remember flew out of Salt Lake. I flew into Chicago, flew from Chicago to Hartford, Connecticut, and I get picked up. And there's someone with I felt so cool because it's the first time I see someone standing there, with the sign that has my name on it. So I walk up to the sign and we're chit chatting, and they put me in an Uber, and then that Uber takes me to the hotel, and then the hotel I'm met by someone at the hotel, and they check me in. They escort me.
Were you pretty excited? Like, I mean, the days leading up, was that kind of like, I can't wait to do this?
Yeah. I was so nervous. I was super excited because this is now national television. Yeah. And I've been working on my skills. I've been honing stuff, but I'm
okay. So that's what I was going to ask you. Cause I mean, I watched some I've watched Survivor. I've watched you would think, okay, if I'm going to go on Survivor, I can get in shape. I can. So were there things you were doing to make sure you were up on your skills, or you just kind of like, you know what? My bank of knowledge has to get me through the day.
So the biggest thing that I did was work on and practice my signature dish. That's the first thing you cook for Chef Ramsay.
And do they tell you that? Say that you just prepared. You're going to have a signature dish in episode 1. Be ready. So
that's the last thing that you do before you head off is you sign a couple things of paperwork, you get some things done, and then you have X number of days to submit your signature dish.
Do they give you any direction on that, or do you go find the one that you
whatever you want?
And at that point, are you thinking I've got to find something that kind of represents my state?
Yeah,
because I think you did episode 1.
That's exactly what I did.
You had an elk sirloin or something, or
so I knew I was representing Montana, and I knew that I was and that I knew that this was Battle of the States. So of course I had to do something to represent Montana, and that's what the thought went into for my signature dish. So I did grilled elk tenderloin, served with a goat cheese infused mashed potato, and then a huckleberry demi-glace.
Sounds delicious, but I've forced you into jumping way ahead, Chase.
Yeah, wait.
Backtrack.
We'll pull it back.
You get in the Uber. They whisk you off to where?
For us, this
is exciting stuff to hear.
So they whisk me off to the Foxwoods Resort in, and I can never pronounce the name of the town, so I just say in Connecticut.
Yes, fine by me.
It's on the reservation out there in Connecticut, and it's a beautiful resort, and the tribe who owns and runs it and is involved with it, they're phenomenal. They're wonderful, super hospitable. I'm gonna just do a brief step ahead. Like they invited us back for the premiere, all expenses paid. That was
fun,
wonderful, wonderful people. Cannot say anything negative or bad about Foxwoods. They're so fantastic.
And that was just a little bit ago that you went back out there for the premiere. Okay.
Yeah. But I ended up meeting with who was kind of our main little contact point, someone who really handled like what we did. His name is Martino. Martino basically escorted me in and said, okay, you're not allowed to leave your hotel room without one of us taking you out. So you want fresh air, you have to call us. We'll come get you. We'll take you outside. We'll walk around.
And that's how many days. So, okay. Had you met any of the other contestants at that point?
No.
So you're by yourself.
I'm by myself in a hotel room.
And how long until you get started with official activities for Hell's Kitchen?
So it was about 3 days.
Wait a minute. It's like 3 days later?
Yeah, 3 days later.
Did you interact with contestants during those 3 days?
No, I was stuck in the hotel room the whole time.
Doing what? Like what's going through your mind?
Watching TV, hanging out, like trying not to panic and freak out that I'm about to be on national television. Wow. I'm about to cook for Gordon Ramsay.
They're prepping you a little bit?
They are. And the craziest part, what they're prepping us about is there was a chef selected representing every single state in the country.
Yeah.
So there's 50 chefs there.
And they're going to narrow it down.
And they're going to narrow it down. So I don't even know at this point in time.
So at that point, there was no guarantee you would make the 20.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's true. There is no guarantee
fascinating.
that I'm going to make the 20.
I think didn't episode 1 start with them selecting the 20?
Yes.
Because I think, yes.
Yeah.
And were you called towards the end of the 20?
No,
middle?
I was the first man. So it was all the guys are on blue team in the season 24, and I was the first selection for blue team.
Okay. All right. So 3 days you had to wait.
Yep.
Then what happens?
So then they bring us out, and I finally get to meet two of the contestants.
Okay.
And we're on what they call ice. That you're on. They refer to it as hard ice, which is we cannot utter a single word. We cannot say anything to each other. And they're escorting us down, and they're doing it in stages, so we can't. So I only know who two of the other contestants are.
And you met them just in the elevator. Where did you meet those two?
Met them in like the area in front of the elevators.
Were you supposed to meet them?
We were supposed to. We were all walked down.
You weren't supposed to talk.
We could not say a word to each other.
So you're all looking at each other up and down, going.
Yeah, here we are, and I'm like, okay, here's two people who might be making the final cut with me. Might be 20 of these 50 chefs, and I can't even say, hey, my name's Chase. I'm from Montana.
Which, knowing Chase, that's hard because
Very
you
hard.
love to say hello and be friendly and converse, and you're wondering where are they from. Okay,
but
good stuff.
They eventually lead us down. We're having to go through all these different checkpoints because they're doing these small little groups, so you don't know who all the chefs are.
Okay.
And they finally take us into the Grand Cedar Ballroom at Foxwoods Resort. We're able to sit down and just see this beautiful, beautiful space and really experience what's going on. And then Chef Ramsay comes out. He starts naming off names. He makes the selections.
Wait, he's making the 20.
Yep.
Okay, now, so what determined how they selected the 20 out of 50? You don't really know.
I wish I knew.
It probably was all that stuff from the pre-check, the interviews, the screening.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe they're watching those 3 days.
Probably.
No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
It would not surprise me
Who
if they did. No, but they end up making the selection. I end up getting on the show. We then go over to the Hell's Kitchen, to the studio set that's at Foxwoods, and we have to start cooking our signature dishes.
Right, but that selection of the 20, you didn't know at that time if you were one of the 20.
No,
so
I had
when
no
you
idea.
heard Chase Cardoza, Montana,
it was
what was
exciting.
you were like, okay.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. It was so awesome because I was like, here's my opportunity. Here's my chance to go and represent my state and go and do phenomenal things and just, get to be wonderful and, get to show people what Montana's all about.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that in itself is an achievement.
Yeah.
You could be in the top 20. So you...
And not only that, I mean, not only am I in the top 20, I think I did the math before showing up today for the show. At most, there's been roughly 400 people in 24 years that have been on Hell's Kitchen. Not only did I get to be one of 20 selected for the show, not only do I get to be someone representing Montana, but I'm also in a very small group of people across the world that have even had this opportunity. So that's really cool for me.
Definitely. So that was recorded live. They selected the 20, and that was like in the afternoon, early evening.
Yeah, so that was like mid or early day. I think we started around like 11 o'clock.
And then they take you straight to a kitchen where you have to start cooking your signature dish.
Yep. So there's a little bit of like production elements that go on in between. Like we show up, they'll have us film a shot here. They'll have us walking in. They want this, they want that, which is fantastic. It's all part of like the behind the scenes movie things.
At that point, are you now able to introduce yourself? Hey, I'm Chase. I'm from Montana.
Nope.
Okay.
We're still on ice.
You're still just like...
We're not allowed to... we got backstage and all of us were like, oh my God, this is so great. We're passing out waters. We're like, hey, nice to meet you. Hey, nice to meet you. And a production person comes in and says, okay, you're on hard ice again. You cannot talk to each other.
What do you think the reason for that is then? Still just the production part side of things, or they have their reasons?
I think it is a competition.
Yeah.
And so I don't think they want us, necessarily, they want us everything to be filmed. They want to be able to see everything that's going on and that's happening. And also they don't want us like colluding and collaborating with each other and trying to plan things before stuff happens.
Okay. So when you get there, you start to make your signature dish. How long do you have?
We had about an hour. I want to say it was like 45 minutes.
And were you pretty excited at that point? Like finally after 3 days, I get to work. Been waiting for this.
It was wonderful. Getting to work with people. I'm working alongside Henry, who is representing Texas, who was in my group that I got to walk down with, which was fantastic.
Okay.
And so he and I are working side by side, tasting things for him. He's tasting stuff for me. We're just making these dishes. They do a lot of editing. So in our 24-hour day, which is being filmed the entire time we're there, they edit that down to about 40 minutes. So not everyone sees everything. They didn't they didn't see when I finally get my dish done. I was the first one to get my dish up to the pass.
You were?
I was.
Okay.
It was something that Chef Ramsay talked to me about. He was like, hey, take those extra few minutes, make certain it's perfect, make certain it's right, do all these things.
Was he there?
He was there.
Okay.
Watching the whole time. And like the one little like crazy behind the scenes lore that I love telling people about him. Like I'm a big guy. I'm about 6'2", 250. He made me feel small. The man's like 6'4". He's a big man. Like you can tell he used to be a professional football player, soccer player. Sorry.
Yeah. So then how many people are tasting your signature dish to kind of see if you move on? Is it just him?
Just him.
Okay. And he has to take a bite of each one of them.
Every single one of them. And he tastes every single thing. And what's beautiful is, editing might not necessarily show it that well, but not only does he taste every single dish, he gets to learn about every single individual. He's asking you questions, where'd the culinary journey start? Where are you at in your life? What's going on?
He's talking to you guys.
Like he's chatting with us. And he provides feedback, and it's really great, honest feedback, and very heartfelt and very.
Are you looking at other dishes and looking at yours, looking at other dishes, going, kind of starting to do a little comparison in your mind, or like there's no point in doing that?
Oh, so many times. Like I'm looking at what other people are doing and what's going on. I remember I got up with one individual. I want to say it was Kat. It was either Kat or Anaya, who I was up against, and they had a crab cake. And haven't had much water at this point in time.
Right.
So like I'm a little dehydrated. It's hot in there. Like it's also called Hell's Kitchen because of how warm it is in that space. Like we've just been in the kitchen. I'm a little sweaty. I've been wearing a flannel.
Yeah.
Like because of reasons that I can't get into. But I've been wearing a flannel. It's hot in that kitchen. So I'm a little thirsty. And all of a sudden, like Chef Ramsay's like, here, Chase, taste this crab cake. And I'm like, yeah, I'll taste the crab cake. And I take a bite of it and I'm like, really good crab cake. And my exact words were, it's excellent. It could use a little more heat. And as I'm saying, like, it's excellent. Oh God, I'm choking on this crab cake because my mouth is so dry.
Because you didn't have anything to drink.
I had nothing to drink, so I had no saliva
did he
going.
Have people taste your dish?
No.
Tell us again. You made elk. Tell us again one more time.
So I made a elk tenderloin served with a goat cheese infused mashed potato and then a huckleberry demi-glace. I made a very Montana dish.
They liked it. They
loved it.
And then when they do this, you get a rating. Like he gives you a 1 to a 5 or something.
Yes. So one is the worst you can get. 5 is an absolute amazing.
You got a 4.
I got a 4.
Yeah.
And what he ended up telling me was, I needed a little bit of sweetness in my demi-glace. And I remember afterwards, we do the one-on-one individual confessionals. Mm-hmm. The moment he said it, it clicked in my brain. I went, I forgot to put the honey in my demi-glace. I was like, I did. Because I was doing great, going through all these things. It was fantastic. And then I clicked. I was like, I forgot to add the honey. I messed up there. But he's like, I want to give you a 5 because it was such a perfect cook and all the flavors are harmonious. He's like, but you're a little bit bitter because you didn't add the sweetness to this. So it's a very strong 4.
Okay.
I'm like, I'll take a strong 4. I impressed Gordon Ramsay. And so that happens. They total up all the points. The red team, the girls team ends up winning. So they get to go on this awesome yacht and we're stuck cleaning the kitchen. And, it doesn't really show a lot of like what happens when you see it on TV because it's like, oh, they start to unwrap some tables. Some silverware falls on the ground. They're doing things. We were there for 5 hours.
Just in that.
Just like.
So then you're there for 5 hours. That ends. Now you tell us a little bit about life behind the scenes. In the show, you just stay in almost like dorms. You're in a room with like 5 people. Tell us about that. What went on when you were not cooking for the show, but you were back at the hotel or wherever what was that like?
So the dorms are on the studio. You're on set. So you're basically living in like a studio set the entire time there. You're under, bright studio lights the entire time. They're filming 24/7. There were 8 cameras in the living room area. You're on a microphone the entire time. There's 20 of us in a space. We're sharing one bathroom that has 2 stalls and 3 shower stalls and 3 sinks between 20 of us. And then I'm in a room with 5 guys, 4, or myself and 4 other individuals whom I've never met before that we're sharing this space with. I had the fun pleasure of having the bed in the middle of the room. So there were 2 beds on one side, 2 beds on another, and I had the bed right in the middle.
Not only the cameras all over, but now you got the eyes of everyone else.
Yep. Like you're waking up, you're looking at me in the morning.
Yeah.
But you come back afterwards whether done doing a punishment, done doing anything, and they're pulling people into the confessionals, which are their little one-on-one interviews. They're asking you questions. Whether or not they use that footage is totally up to them, but it's just stuff going on. But there's no television. There's no books. You're not allowed to bring in any notebooks or writing utensils. You don't have your cell phones. You have no communication with the outside world.
At that point, now you're able to mingle, talk,
Yep.
talk about where you've been, and start to get to know the other contestants.
So that's a lot of what's going on, is we're trying to get to know each other and learn who each other are and figure out, what's happening. We're also given these big binders of everything we're going to be cooking for the show and all the recipes. So we're also trying to memorize how to pick up the dishes, how to make stuff happen. We've never seen any of this.
Yeah.
So it's just so much
fast paced, even behind the scenes.
Yeah. And you're on a studio set. The lights don't go off on the studio set in any of the rooms until everyone's finished confessionals and everyone's laying down getting ready for bed. So if someone's up and about in the living room, like trying to study or research,
all lights are on.
All the lights are still on. So you're lucky if the lights go off at like 2, 3 in the morning.
Wow. So take us now. If people have seen the show, you get into that where you guys are now competing against the blue team, or you the blue team?
We were the blue team.
You're blue team against the red team, and Chef Ramsay is going around, and he appears to be very I don't know what the right word is, but if you are not absolutely perfect, he is letting you know. You one of your initial pizzas.
Oh, it was burnt and it was horrible.
But when you're watching this, you're like, people are fast, people are yelling. It's like, how can you even function? And it looked very stressful.
It's
and
super
you said
stressful.
In the moment it was stressful.
Super stressful and super challenging, because so we had maybe 30 minutes where we get shown the menu, how to prep everything, how to do everything going on, all the stuff we've been reading now for 24 hours in a binder. We're getting to see it. It's John from Georgia, who is one of the kindest, most amazing human beings, and I love that man to death, and I really cannot wait for him to come up and experience Red Lodge. He put it the best way on the show. It's like trying to take a drink from an open fire hydrant.
That's a great analogy.
It's a beautiful analogy.
Makes sense.
They're throwing so much at you at once, and you just feel so out of your depth. And you're floundering and panicking. I make pizzas the One Legged Magpie now.
Yeah.
Tossing pizzas out this weekend with one of my cooks we were teaching on the pizza station. Turned out great, and they turned out beautiful. But it's a whole different thing when you're doing it
in that moment.
Yeah.
And it's really like, so you get on that episode, and Chef Ramsay got on Chase Cardoza from Montana because the first one that came out was a little burnt or what. And then so us viewers are like, come on, Chase, you got this. Let's go.
Oh yeah. So the first pizza I made was overcooked. It was burnt. It was destroyed. Second pizza, I went to the opposite extreme. I pulled out too early, so it was raw and it was terrible. Then we started to kind of click and get it right. But eventually, we had enough mistakes with pizzas that we ran out of cheese. So we had to 86 pizzas and move on to something else. It was a terrible performance, and I don't try and hide behind it. I don't make any excuses. And I know that I was under a lot of pressure and stress, because prior to that we had our reward challenge, but it was for the punishment pass.
Right. Yes.
And we had to work with scallops, and I didn't.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I learned seafood, and I learned how to do this stuff, but I'd never shucked a scallop in my life before. And now here it is. You have 30 minutes to shuck 6 scallops, make 2 identical dishes, and present them to Gordon Ramsay. And they cut it. They did some phenomenal editing on the show. But I remember I get my dish up there, I put them in the pass, and one of the guys goes, "Hey man, you did it. You got the dish up there. It's great." And I turn to him and go, "That is the worst thing I've ever cooked in my life."
That's a whole new experience, because all 20 of you can cook. Yeah. Trust me, all of us would be thrilled to have you cooking a meal for us. But in that moment, the stress, the pressure of the cameras, you've got Chef Ramsay looking over your shoulder. Did you just are like, man, I'm out of my element? Or you're like, no, I got this?
So at the time, I didn't feel like I was out of my element, but I was definitely rattled after doing the scallops and that going on. And then we go into service, then we go into the burnt pizzas. And after that, it was a long, long night. We get done. I go up for elimination with Bradley. Chef Ramsay sends us both back in line and says, you two are on thin ice. You need to get it together. Yeah. We go back to the dorms. I get pulled into confessionals. I'm in confessionals on and off for the next 2 hours. We get done, finally able to take a shower, change out of disgusting clothes, relax a little bit. And I remember I went and I laid down for 45 minutes and I woke up. When I woke up, I just went outside. I was like, I need fresh air. And I sat outside, cried. Luckily, they didn't show that. But I started reflecting and looking on things. And I was like, here I had been just going through this divorce that had kind of pushed me into an area of the kitchen that wasn't me. It was 500 voices telling me how to do stuff. It was making, pre-rolled frozen rolls. I had let like my creativity and my spark and everything slip. And I'd been doing therapy on off at this point in time, but like, I don't have a support network. I don't have anyone to help me. I'm struggling mentally, and I'm realizing all these emotions are rising up, and I'm starting to spiral into just a negative, dark headspace and somewhere that I really don't want to be. And I end up like kind of reaching out at that point in time. We were told, if you ever need medical, if you need to talk to a psychologist or anything, we have microphones on us. And so I speak to them. I'm like, hey, I'd love to speak to a psychologist. Wait up for a couple hours. I'm like, if anyone's there, like, come grab me. I'd love to talk to the psychologist. And stay up for a few hours. I'm like, okay, fine. Go back in and like not really able to sleep. Luckily, all the lights are off at this point in time, so I'm able to kind of like lay down, do some stuff. But
so you're at that point. You're like, this is really starting to snowball me a little bit in terms of just everything that's gone on in your life. In the confessional, because they use your material. If you watch the show, they use you in promotion for episode 3, I think, when you're like, you on the confessional say, I don't know if I'm going to, what were your exact words?
Like, I don't know how much longer I can handle this.
And was that prior to that night when you were saying, hey, I want to talk to a psychologist, or was it the next day that you said that?
That was the next day.
Okay.
And that was, timeline and everything is interesting. That happened right after I told them that I'm going to leave the show. Who
did you first tell that to? So that gets a little bit complicated and crazy because I ended up getting up the next morning, and I'm outside. Bradley and I are trying to like quiz each other and do some stuff. And I tell him like, look, man, I maybe got an hour's sleep last night. I'm not doing good. I'm struggling, having all these mental health issues. And he's giving me this nice little pep talk. He's like, no, man, you got this. You're going to be okay. Like, hey, it was a rough day yesterday for you, but we can bounce back. We can make this happen. It's going to be fine. And then we get pulled into our first challenge, and we have to cook brunch for the police department in the area. Yeah. And so we go in, and as a team, we come up with a game plan, and I pair up with Jaden from Connecticut. But he and I get paired up, and we're on steak and eggs. And I distinctly remember the first steak I sent up was undercooked, and the first eggs he sent up was overcooked. Yeah, I remember that.
And they showed his overcooked eggs. They didn't show my undercooked steak, but they send them back. Right. And it then gets to a point to where Jaden and I, every plate we put up afterwards is perfect. To the point to where Chef Ramsay ends up telling his sous chef, James Avery, like, hey, you tempt these steaks from now on. Chase's steaks are perfect. I don't need to tempt them. You check the eggs from now on. What Chase and Jaden are doing are perfect.
And that's not necessarily on the show, because that doesn't make great drama.
No, it doesn't.
You know what I'm saying?
No, they didn't show a lot of that on the show.
Right.
But we get done, and Blue Team, we win this challenge. And it's great. And we're supposed to go to the aquarium. We're going to go hang out and do all this fun thing. Like, we're going to meet some sea lions and whatnot. It's great. And I get done, I'm just sitting there going, I don't want to go on this reward. I want to be able to stay back, and I want to be able to like research and get ready to do dinner service. Like, I don't want to.
Which was that night.
And now I'm like, cool, yeah, we won this challenge. This is so great. Oh, that's awesome. That's the bounce back I needed. And I'm just going, I had to do dinner service. And now I'm going to go on this reward challenge, and then we're going to come back and go straight into dinner service. And I'm not going to be prepared, and I'm not going to be ready.
And you're just getting
and
stressed.
I'm like, anxiety's building, and I'm stressing, and I'm dreading. One of the main people who worked with us as the contestants, as the talent, as they would call us. It's not the best word to refer to them as, but I always refer to them as our handlers, because their job was to get us like from point A to point B, make sure we were escorted, doing all these things. His name was Steven. Steven pulls me aside and is like, hey, Chase, we want to pull you into confession real quick. I'm like, okay, great. So I go and I walk on out. Actually, it was Jarrett was his name. Jarrett was one of the guys. So you'll see a few guys in the background. It's really hard to spot, but they're wearing like white chef coats. So they look like they belong. They look like they're part of the set, but they're people who are like coming in to chat with us and work. They're part of the show, and they work with us and everything. And I remember Jared comes in, and he grabs me, and he takes me into this little room, and Steven's in there, and Steven's has a phone in his hand, and he walks over and he unplugs cameras, and he unplugs microphones, and he takes my microphone pack off of my back and hands me a phone and goes, this is a psychologist for the show. His name's Dr. Kurt. Dr. Kurt wants to chat with you. He's been reviewing all the footage, seeing what's going on.
Okay. And
I start talking with Dr. Kurt, and we probably talk for a good like hour and a half on the phone, and we're weighing all these different things, weighing what's going on, and we realize like what's going to be best for me, where I'm at with all of this stress and everything happening, is to leave the show, focus on my mental health, put that better. And I'm such an advocate for that, and I'm someone who tells my staff every day, like, you have to put your own needs, you have to put your own health first. So here I am now practicing what I preach and having to do it on national television.
Yeah.
And it's tough because like,
Which that added a whole new element of anxiety and like, that component alone probably was its own weight. I mean, that's...
Well, here I am, like, I feel like I've let myself down because I didn't make it as far as I wanted to in the competition. I feel like I let my family down because now I'm being on national television. And then I feel like I've let my state down because I'm representing Montana.
Right.
So it's massive that what I'm going through.
Very much.
But I have to go and talk with the executive producers and let them know, like, I'm leaving the show. Here's what's going on. They allow me to go back to the dorms. I'm able to pack some things up, get my stuff ready to go. And then they start pulling me into confessionals. And that's where the, I don't know how much more of this I can take come from. Because they're asking me how I'm feeling.
Right.
And they edited down that one little sound clip. And
Did you interact with the fellow chefs at that point? Did they kind of see what was going on?
I had an opportunity to. And it's why I love these boys with all my heart and will speak so highly of them. I got done talking with the executive producers, and the boys are waiting for me because we're all supposed to go on this reward together. So they're just hanging out, they're chilling around the table. And the executive producer tell me, hey, just come back and tell them that you're feeling under the weather, you're feeling sick. They're going to go on without you. And I come back and tell them, hey guys, I'm leaving the show.
Right.
And they're all like, wait, what? I'm like, my mental health is spiraling. I'm not doing well. Like I'm leaving. But I'm wishing you guys all luck. I got to give them all hugs. We were able to like exchange contact information real quick, which probably would have gotten us all in trouble because we stole a pencil from like the front and we were writing it down on. we stole a piece of paper out of the binder. We're writing it down. No, but we make this happen. So they all leave for the reward. I pack some stuff up. I go and I do some confessionals, and then I get taken back to Foxwoods in the hotel. With plans to fly out a couple days later.
Did they arrange when did you meet with Chef Ramsay?
So I get back to the hotel and they're like, oh, we need to film you, handing your jacket over to Chef Ramsay. So they bring me back, they put me into a couple outfits, do a couple things, and I have to talk with Chef Ramsay. And, we talk about like my divorce, a little bit briefly, touch on a few things like my mental health, where I'm struggling, what's going on. He and I though sat and chat for like an hour.
Were you uptight about that meeting, or were you just like, you know what, it is what it is? Okay.
Extremely, because here's one of the best chefs in the world,
right?
And a very well recognized and very well known chef, and known for being temperamental and known for being loud and yelling. And so I'm terrified because I'm about to tell him like, hey, I'm not sick. I didn't hurt myself. I just am not doing well with my mental health. Yeah. And I need to take time to focus on me and take care of myself. And I'm realizing that like, I've been working at a restaurant that has been stealing and sucking my soul and robbing me of all my passion at culinary. I'm dealing with a major, major life change. I still have unresolved things going on from what happened with my mom, what's going on there. Like I'm dealing with all this stuff in my life. And now I'm trying to come on to this high stress, high stakes competition with all that. I'm like, I'm not ready to do this. I'm not.
Yeah.
So he was super kind, super amazing.
In that moment, he was gracious and understanding.
Very gracious, very understanding. Oh, it was fantastic. And, at this point in time, like I was working at the Alta Club. I was supposed to be gone for 3 weeks. We're roughly a week into when I'm supposed to be gone. So he sets it up rather than flying me back to Salt Lake City and where I'm staying. He flies me out here to Billings. My family comes and picks me up at Billings. They bring me up here to Red Lodge, and I get to spend about a week and a half with the family before I had to go back to Billings and fly back to Salt Lake.
When you left the show and you're flying back to Billings, did you go through the various emotions of like, oh, I wish I had stayed. I could have done it, or were you like, I'm relieved? That was
There's always a part of me that wishes I would have stayed and I would have done it.
Right.
But there's a part of me that's so relieved that I did leave and that I put myself first. And also there's a part of me that is so proud of the fact that I practice what I preach. And
right.
I put my mental health first.
In that moment, I think we talked about this prior to today's episode, Chase, is that moment, it was very authentic and, the good that can come out of it, obviously.
Yeah.
For so many people that, there's always going to be that one or that person who's like, oh, you should have stayed and blah, blah, blah. But the people who in that moment were like, you spoke to them. Yeah. And I'm sure you've heard from many of them.
So many of them.
And that it was a very authentic moment. So, tell us a little bit about the aftermath then. You ended up leaving the restaurant in Salt Lake and become the executive chef at the One Legged Magpie, which is an absolutely amazing establishment.
So that was a wild and crazy journey too. But what ended up happening is I left, I come back here to Red Lodge and I spent some time with my family and I'm chatting with them. I'm like, I don't know what to do with my life. And they're like, well, figure out what's going to make you happy. My dad would always tell me, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And for the last now years. I've been navigating this divorce, going through these things. I'm working every day. It never used to be like that. It was traveling. It was passion. It was fun. So while I'm here in Red Lodge, I call up my old job in Utah at the Alta Club, quit my job. I'm like, I'm not coming back. Yeah. They were under the impression that I won the show. And I'm like, no, I didn't win, but I'm not coming back.
Interesting.
I'm gone. Like, I'm leaving. And then I went back out to New York, and I reached out to a friend of mine who's out there, and he's like, hey, I'm like, I need to grow. I need to be in kitchens that inspire me and make me passionate again. And I need to be doing something. So I go and I work at Blue Hill, family meal at Blue Hill in New York. And I really know Matt around for about a month and a half. And inevitably I get a phone call from Chef Justin Moser, who runs Hide and Seek in Salt Lake City. And Justin used to be the Toronto at Alinea in Chicago. So he was really up there. Alinea is one of the 3 Michelin star restaurants in the country. There's someone who I look to for a lot of inspiration, and they've really taught me a lot in my career. And it's somewhere I wanted to be. And it goes back to, the last episode and what we talked about, my youth. Like, this is now taking science. It's molecular gastronomy. So it's using chemicals and using other elements and using really cool tools to do insane, wild things with food. Alinea is best known for their edible balloon. At the end of dinner service, they bring you a balloon made out of 5 different types of sugar that you can literally eat. And it floats. Chicago? And that's in Chicago.
Cool. That sounds amazing.
It's so good. It's fantastic. Here I am. I've just kind of had a month, 2 months to be reinvigorated. I've gone to a few different restaurants. This whole time I'm doing therapy 2 times a week. Yeah. And I'm talking with my therapist, and I'm working through not just my divorce, but also like trauma from what happened in my childhood and youth there. Also working through everything I just went through on Hell's Kitchen. So really trying to get myself like mentally right. And the biggest thing is, loving myself, being proud of myself, my journey and what's going on, but now pushing myself again. And I go to work at Hide and Seek. And I get in with Justin, and Justin's been working 3 Michelin star restaurants. He's been doing all these fantastic, amazing things. And he really starts pushing me. He sees my potential, he sees what's going on. So he just keeps on, his phrase he would always tell me was, I'm going to push you the same way every day. So just get better every day. And if you do it right, you're the best you've been every day. Yeah. I got the title of captain. So everyone who worked at Hide and Seek still refers to me as Cap or Captain. Yeah. So we moved into this role and everything, and it's great, and we're growing. But now that I've gotten through this and I've gotten to a point, and I've been to all these different restaurants, I've learned all these things. In the back of my head, I'm hearing that loud voice go, it's time to go home. It's time to bring it all back to Montana. It's time to take these Michelin star skills, these James Beard skills, this Asian fusion and Southern flair and classic French and Italian, like bring it all home, showcase it in Montana. So I put my resume up on Indeed for Billings. I'm like, well, we'll see what happens. We'll try and find the right place. And all of a sudden on Facebook, I get a message from Kat Porco, who is one of the owners, along with her husband, Mike, at the One Legged Magpie.
Now, before you go any further, remember you've got to you mentioned something about owls and the owl, and
yes,
so you've got to kind of you got to intertwine. You tell us.
Okay,
what does that have to do with?
So we're gonna backtrack a little. I'm gonna build up to the point, and I'm gonna tell the whole owl story. So Kat reaches out to me and says, "Hey, we're looking for a change in leadership. We've heard great positive things about you. We know you're great culinarily. We would love if you'd be willing to interview with us and come work at the Magpie." And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely. Let me chat. Let's see what's going on." So I have a conversation with Kat on via Skype, essentially. We sit down. The first time we're meeting each other, and she's like, "Hey, Chase." I'm like, "Hey, Kat, it's so nice to meet you in person." "Nice to meet you in person." She goes, "Oh, this is so weird." I go, "What?" And she goes, "Oh, there's an owl perched on the roof across from the house." I'm like, "Great. When are you hiring me?"
You didn't say that, or you thought that. You were thinking it. You were thinking it.
I joked about it. I told her, I'm like, "You're going to hire me, and we'll get into this in person."
Right. That's a great story.
And so I end up going, I end up having a great interview with Kat, talking about like the humanity side of things. And I've been doing all this therapy work. I've just gone through an extremely stressful ordeal, just gone through divorce. So like I understand the empathy and the humanity that really needs to be involved with being in this role and being in this industry in this day and age. It's not like back in the dark ages where you have these yelling, screaming chefs. You got to connect. You got to empathize. We got to love each other. And then I'm talking with Mike, and I'm telling him about all of my technical skills and all of my financial background and what I can do with like building a business and growing things there. So like, great, come down and cook for us. I'm like, great, I'll come down for cook for you guys. I'm going to tell you the owl story. And you're going to understand why you want to hire me when I get there. And they're like, perfect. So I come down, cook them a meal. We sit and we chat, and I tell them this story. So my biological mom, and we talked about me losing her and everything in the last episode. She was driving back to Red Lodge from Billings one night, and there is fog so thick you can't see 5 feet in front, or you can't see 5 inches in front of you. And as she's driving home with my aunt Delina, who's also no longer with us, this owl comes swooping down by the car, hovers by the windshield for a second, and takes off. They slam on their brakes. They come to a dead stop. My mom looks over, and she's driving, and my aunt Delina's like, holy cow, did you see that? It's like, yeah, was that an owl? Yeah. Did we hit it? No, I don't think we hit it. That's crazy. And they start driving again. They don't even make it 5 feet, but they have to slam on the brakes. An entire herd of cows had broken the fence and was on the road covering over this expanse. Had that owl not swooped down and stopped them, they would have ran headfirst in the herd. Probably would have killed them right then and there.
Yeah. Because they had to slow down, and then they didn't get their speed. So the owl, hence, continue.
Yeah. So fast forward a little bit. My mom's been in her accident, and we had a house over in Bridger, Montana. And my dad's trying to do some renovation and basically sell the house, downsize, make certain that we're all taken care of and everything. And as we're ripping the roof of the house off, we see by the fireplace this giant great owl, great horn or barn owl nest. And it's been living up there for years. And it's just chilling there in these rafters in our old house where we used to where I first lived and grew up with my mom and everything. So there's this giant owl that's been nesting in the house where I grew up that we finally encounter after my mom's been in her accident. We're like, all right, that's weird. We know about this other owl story, but that's kind of crazy. Then it turned to a point to where every time, with my ex, we met in Bozeman, but we'd come over and we'd visit Red Lodge. And that first night we'd be over, she'd always hear owls hooting. And I told her kind of this story, and she'd be like, oh, so just your mom checking in, saying hi.
Right. She's
saying hello, letting you know that, we're here and everything's great.
Yeah.
When we moved to Salt Lake, one of our first summers that we came back, we went up to Glacier National Park. And that first night there, we're hearing the owls. It's like, okay, they know you're back in Montana. Ha ha. We get it. We go up to a lake. We drive down this 1-lane dirt road. And as we're coming back down the dirt road, an owl, middle of the day, mind you, takes off flight and leads us the whole way back to the highway.
Wow. So when Kat says there's an owl, you're just like, oh.
Yeah. So when Kat tells me, this is so weird. It's the middle of the day. They're awake and they're active. And there's this owl perched on the house across from me. I'm like, okay, that's the universe, my mom, whatever you want to be. This sign telling me this is where you need to be. This is where you need to come. It's time to make this happen.
So what did Kat and Mike think when you told them the owl story?
It was wild and crazy. It gets even crazier after that because they were like, oh, this is fantastic. But he has the right skills. He has the right abilities. We love what he can do. Let's bring him in. Let's have him cook. Or let's give him this job. So okay, fantastic. Just so you know, it's going to be a couple weeks before I get down there because I had to quit. I had to let hide and seek know and leave my job there. And Justin gave me all this advice and support and love and blessings, sends me on my way. We take my grandma Barb for her 91st birthday to the Kentucky Derby. My younger brother and I do because her birthday's on the Kentucky Derby.
That's a whole other story.
Whole other story. Whole other episode.
Yeah.
But we go and we do that. We come up here, and my first week working, Tippett Rising was doing a show at the Magpie. And they come in with some hats for Mike and Kat and some little swag. And printed on all these hats and all this swag are little owls.
Yeah.
That's my first week there.
It all just kind of connected.
And it all just fell into place.
So that's fascinating, Chase. One thing you mentioned when you were talking about Kat and Mike and your interview with them and just you said you spent as much time talking about humanity as you did talking about food.
Yeah.
I was just on the website last night, and on their website, a space for conversation and connection for art and culture for locals and travelers alike, a place that pushes the boundaries of what food and beverage can look like in Montana while holding fast to the values of resilience, welcome, and belonging. That kind of captures your story, honestly.
Yeah. And that captures, and it's why I feel so privileged, so lucky to get to be at the One Legged Magpie, because that was on their website before I even knew Kat and Mike and before I even knew about the One Legged Magpie. And it's become this phenomenal thing where our goal is to always be a staple and a part of the community. And we want to make certain that it doesn't matter who you are in the community. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter what you're doing in your life. You're welcome in our restaurant. You're welcome at our tables.
So from when you started from the red box car to Old Piney Dell, now executive chef, One Legged Magpie. Chase, before we conclude, tell us, like, when you look back at the experience from Hell's Kitchen and just that mental health, the tension that was brought to mental health in a very probably positive way, what would you say are the biggest takeaways or lessons you've learned from that experience?
Oh yeah. The biggest lesson I learned is you have to put yourself first. In this world, you are the most important thing in your life. And there's going to be phenomenal people around you and that are going to surround yourself and they want you to succeed. But you're only going to succeed if you make yourself succeed. And you're the only one. You are the master of your own design. You are the arbiter of your own happiness and your own skill set and your own success. So you have to put yourself first. That doesn't necessarily mean being egotistical, being narcissistic.
Right.
That means love. You got to love yourself. It
doesn't even necessarily mean being selfish. It means you can't really help others or drop or help them if you have not got yourself
exactly
where it needs to be.
You know, if you were only 40% of yourself, you can only bring 40% to the table. So that was the biggest lesson I learned.
Yeah.
And the second biggest lesson I learned is it's okay to fail, and it's okay to not succeed.
It's okay to burn the pizza on occasion.
It's okay to burn the pizza. It's okay to undercook the scallops and make it look like cat vomit in a bowl. Like that, it's okay.
Yeah, for sure.
The world's not going to end. The third most important lesson I learned is you have to be authentic to yourself. I've preached for years and years and years. Put yourself first. Take care of yourself. Put yourself first. Take care of yourself. And I postponed a lot of that when I was going through my divorce, when I was going through all this turmoil and everything, is I wasn't putting myself first.
And I think you've obviously come along because you're from the moment I first met you a month ago, you're a very, very authentic person.
Thank you.
Two quick things before we go. One, you've told me behind the scenes, you still stay in touch with the contestants that are currently on season 24. You guys have a cool relationship behind the scenes.
Yeah, we do. So it's wild. We have this big giant group chat, and I want to say, I'm not going to name names, but there's only, of the 20 of us, there's only 2 competitors who aren't in that group chat. And both of them for the right reasons and reasons that are all their own. But there's 18 of us who are still in constant contact.
Almost daily.
Literally daily.
Yeah.
We share memes, we share jokes. John was just talking about how he hung and butchered one of the pigs on the farm, and now he has it spread out and is smoking it, and we're waiting on updates on that. We get to follow Henry, who's working at Evelyn in Texas right now, and his success and what's going on there. Anthony, who was on the blue team with me as well, just went into doing private chef work and some gigs there. Jaden just opened Idlewild Tavern, or I believe it's Idlewild Tavern in California.
In Idlewild, California?
In Idlewild.
Ooh, episode 1. We talked about Idlewild, California with the Beartooth Books owner, Ryan Sweet.
Idlewild, the brewery that they have there, they have a really, really nice, fancy sit-down restaurant. Jaden took over as their executive chef. I get to hear about Ellie, who's on the red team, who just got promoted to the executive chef of Main Street Provisions in Nevada. You get to hear about Jada, who's working at a 2 Michelin star restaurant as their chef de cuisine. Alexandra is opening up a brand new business in Seattle. We are all so connected.
Yeah, those friendships, that's just an awesome takeaway for the experience.
And it's beautiful. And even the crew of Hell's Kitchen has been like, we've never seen a team that's disconnected. We've never seen a group that came together so well. Like you'll have 2 or 3 people and they'll chat and they'll communicate, but it's been 2 years. We chat daily. I mean, I'm trying to make plans to have Bradley come up here and we're going to collaborate. And we're going to do a pop-up dinner at the Magpie. I'm trying to get Chris and Antonio out here to do the same thing. Chris has never been on a horse.
I love it.
And most of these guys live in like big cities, so they don't get to see the stars like you do out here.
I love it. We could talk all day, really, Chase.
Oh, without doubt.
What I almost forgot because I've been so captivated by your story. I didn't get it in the last episode, but that's okay because this was part 2.
Yeah.
So I ask everyone that comes on Red Lodge, the podcast.
Yes.
What makes Red Lodge a magical place to Chase Cardoza?
Oh man, do we have enough time for a 3rd episode?
Well, yeah, we did later. Yeah.
No, what makes this place so magical is, and I know you've mentioned this, and it's so true. It's a little big city. It is the friendliest people. I can't walk down the street without being stopped by several people, getting involved in conversations. And it's not conversations like, oh, saw you on Hell's Kitchen. That's a lot of it now,
right.
But it's more so, how's the family doing? How's your grandma? How's your mom? What's dad up to? Where's he at? What's going on? How's your brother doing? Heard he's going to be getting married soon. what's new, what's happening with life. And you don't get that in a lot of places. I mean, I even lived in Bozeman. We're still in the state, and you don't get that in Bozeman. You don't get that in Billings.
So true. And I'm not just saying this is absolutely the truth. For being a small little big town, Red Lodge has some of the best cuisine you will ever find, including the One Legged Magpie. So listeners, stop in, take advantage of Chase's talent and the amazing vibe that Kat and Mike have down there at One Legged Magpie. Chase, your story is amazing. You're an inspiration to a lot of people, and I really appreciate you taking the time to come on.
No, I appreciate you having me. It's been a fantastic time, and look forward to coming back later.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, Chase.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Red Lodge the Podcast. Follow Red Lodge the Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll see you next time.